Hi everybody, this is your notes for 8-3 factoring trinomials. So a little bit like what we did yesterday, but today a before the x squared is not going to equal 1, which of course throws a wrench into the works and makes it a little different. So today you're going to get lots of examples on how to factor trinomials when a does not equal 1. So the first page of your notes, I wrote down in the page numbers out of your book. You might want to get open to that so you can look at them. I'm going to be using the example problems from your text. Feel free to fill in the date for today as we're doing this. So our form looks the same, x squared bxc. Up here I've got it, ax squared bxc, but today that number right here in front of the x is not going to equal a 1. On the bottom of your note sheet, you probably have some example problems. Those are for you to look at later should you need a few more examples. But I'm going to show you how to do this. So I'm going to flip to the next page. And on that page, I've got the form at the top and some rules. So you might want to pause this. There's a fifth rule underneath that, so I'm going to pull the screen down in a moment. But you might want to pause this and go ahead and write this stuff down on your note sheet. So I've got my form, ax squared plus bx plus c. Remembering those pluses can be minuses. Today, a does not equal 1. So here are the 5 rules for completing this. And I completely understand this might make 0 sense right now, but I'll show you a bunch of problems, so hopefully it makes more sense. So the rules. First, this rule is the same. It must multiply to AC and add to B. So that is exactly the same. Here's where it changes. I'm going to find those factors on how to multiply to AC and add to B. So I'm still going to find those, but instead of just writing it in my binomials right away, I'm going to replace the middle term, where it's bx, with the 2 factors that I found. And I'm going to put parentheses around the first 2 terms and the last 2. So I'm going to group them into, I'm going to have 4 total terms. After step 2, I'm going to have 4 terms. I start with 3, agreed, up here, 1, 2, 3, but I'm actually going to end up with 4. Hang on, I should move that back. Because I'm going to replace this middle term with the 2 factors that I found. I'm going to put parentheses around them to make like a first binomial and a second binomial. Then I'm going to pull out the greatest common monomial factor. And I want to make them match when I do this, and I'll show you how to do that. And then I'm going to rewrite them as a set of binomials. So jot the rules down, and then I'm going to show you a bunch of problems. Pause this if you need a little more time, but I'm going to go on to the problem now, so pause this if you need more time. All right, here we go. So my first problem looks a lot like it did the other day. I've got an ax squared, a bx, and a c. And that's fine that I've got minus 6, even though it's plus c. Remember, it's plus negative 6. But I have something in my a position this time. I've got a 2. So I've got a 2, and I've got a negative 6. So I still need to multiply to a times c, and that's why I write them like this. I get to multiply. 2 times negative 6 would be negative 12. And I still need to add to 11 to my b term, and it's positive 11. So I'm going to do this all the same way. I'm going to write the factors of 12, forgetting the negative for a moment. 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Now, you don't have to do all that work if you already knew it was 1 and 12. I do need one of those 2 factors to be negative to multiply to negative 12, and I need to consider which one I want to make positive 11 here. So I'm going to be negative 1, positive 12. If I add those together, I would get positive 11, and that is what I want to get right here. Okay? All right, here is where the step changes. I rewrite the middle term, this 11y, as these 2 factors. Okay? So I'm going to write the first term as it is, 2y squared. And then I'm going to leave a well, I don't know if I should write that sign yet. I'm going to leave a little room. And then my last term is still going to be minus 6, but I need to replace this 11y right here with negative 1 and 12. Now, I want to make this make sense. I've got negative 1, I've got 12. I want to figure out which one pairs better with the 2y. Now, ultimately, it doesn't really matter which way you should do this, but I'm going to put the 12 there first. It is plus 12. positive 12 over here. So I'm going to have plus 12. And then since this middle term always has a variable, I'm going to throw a variable on it. And then it is minus 1, and it's got a variable, so I'm going to put a variable on it. I have now replaced my middle term with the two factors that I found. All right, that was the next step. After that, I told you to put parentheses around them to group them. So the first two get grouped together, and the last two get grouped together. Now we pull out the greatest common monomial factor out of each term. So what can I divide both terms by? Well, I see that 2 and 12 share a factor of 2, and y squared and y share a factor of y. I'm going to go ahead and divide both of these terms by 2y to figure out what I have left. Well, those cancel, so I have 1y left, and if I divide this by 2y, I'd have plus 6 left. All right, here's the deal. I need the next thing I do, the next binomial that I pull, or the next greatest common factor that I pull out, I need to make the next thing in the parentheses y plus 6. They have to match. The two things in your parentheses have to match. So how can I make this equal y plus 6? Well, if I pull out a negative 1, and if I divide each of these by negative 1, these cancel, be positive y, and a negative divided by negative is a positive. Oh, y plus 6. They match. All right, there's only one more step, and the next step is the easiest step. It's just rewriting it as the pair of binomials that this factored into. But the key is your parentheses always have to match. All right, so your final answer then, this y plus 6 becomes one of your binomials, just one of them. The other binomial is going to be 2y minus 1. So you take what you have, and it doesn't matter which one I write first, but I'm going to write 2y minus 1. That is one of my binomials. It's this one, and it's minus 1 because I pulled out a negative 1. And then my second one is y plus 6. Now, that is my final answer. Your check, then, and I'll do it for this one, is to box method this or FOIL it to see if I get my original trinomial. So let's do a box method and see what we get. For my box, 2y minus 1, y and positive 6. So I have 2y squared. I'll keep moving over to the left. I'd have negative 1 times y is negative y. This would be 12y, and the last box would be negative 6. So I should have ended up with 2y squared plus 11, because these are the same, 11y minus 6. Boom, that is the right answer. All right, pause it and re-go through that problem if you need to. I'm going on to the next one. Just gotta hit next page. I think I did, but we're going to try it again. There it is. All right. 11x squared. So the first thing I should actually have said was check that it's in order, and it is. I've got an x squared and x and just a c, no variable. So since it's in order, I'm going to figure out what a times c equals. Remember, this is a, b, and c. All right, so I've got 11 times negative 2. That gives me negative 22. Let's find all the factors of negative 22. 1 and 22. 2 and 11. That's all I got. I needed to add to 21. Now, ultimately, I need to make this be negative 22, and since it's negative, one of my two factors has to be negative. I got to think, how do I make it to be positive 21? Well, I'm going to use this first one right here, 1 plus 22, and I would make my negative 1 to be my negative number, because negative 1 plus 22 is positive 21, and that's what I want to make in the middle. All right, so write your first term and your last term, and make sure you leave the variables the same. The first term is an x squared, the last one doesn't get one. And then I look and I see what I've got here. I've got a negative 1 and a 22. I'm going to write the 22 first, because that seems to match better with the 11. So it's positive 22. And again, this variable was an x, and since we're just replacing the middle term, it needs an x on it. And then it would have been minus 1x, because that was my other term. So I used 22 and negative 1. All right, next step, put parentheses around the two binomials and pull out the greatest common monomial factor. All right, what can I divide 11x squared and 22x by? Well, I can divide it by 11x. So 11x is going to get pulled out. Divide them both by 11x. It's okay if you can do this in your head. So this cancels, and squared over 1 would just be a single x. 22 into 11. Oh, it's a plus sign, so I should write that. 22 and 11 would be 2, and the x's cancel. All right, so the next thing I need to do is make sure that my next parenthesis is x plus 2. They have to match. So I look and I see I've got negative x minus 2. What can I pull out? Well, I can pull out a negative 1 out of it, or a minus 1. If I divide by negative 1 on both of these, because that's what I'm going to pull out, and that's what they share in common, a negative x divided by negative 1 would be x, and negative 2 divided by negative 1 would be plus 2. All right, made a match. Last but not least, write your new factored binomials. So I have 11x minus 1. That is one of my two binomials. And my other one becomes what I had written inside. You only write one of them. So x plus 2. All right, I have 5 or 6 total problems on here, so a couple to go. Big 5. All right, this is an order, squared. Then the n terms. So I've got squared, good, n, no variable. That's what I want. Okay? Get rid of those little dots. All right, so I figure out what a times c is. Well, 3 times, this time positive 12, I get 36. That means either both my factors have to be positive or both have to be negative to multiply to that positive. Let's write all the factors of 36. Let's see if I can do it. 1 and 36, 2 and 18. What's 3 and 12? It's 3 times 12. Mental break, everyone. 6, yep, 3 and 12. 4 and 9. And 6 and 6. Alright. Now again, if you looked ahead and you see that I now need to make negative 20, figure out which factors make negative 20, let's consider which ones make negative 20. You're always welcome to stop if you find it ahead of time. Well, there's no way that one's going to make negative 20, nor 3 and 12, 4 and 9. It's got to be 2 and 18. Now, these are my factors, but I need to make negative 20. But I need to multiply to positive 36. I can make both of these negative, because negative 2 times negative 18 would be positive 36, but negative 2 plus negative 18 would give me my negative 20. All right, rewrite the middle term as the two factors. So I write my first term, 3n squared. I write my last term, plus 12, and I'm going to use these two terms over here to figure out what I would like to do. So I got a 2 and an 18. It doesn't really matter which way we do this. So let's just put the 2 first. So it's negative 2, so minus 2, and again, remember this middle term has a variable. And then minus 18, and again, this middle term has a variable, because I need squared, regular, because that's the middle term, no variable. All right, I rewrote it. Now I'm going to group it with parentheses. Careful to leave that minus or that negative here on the 18 attached with the 18. And now let's pull out the greatest common monomial factor. Well, this is an interesting one on the first one, because I have 3n squared minus 2n. The only thing they have in common is an n. So I can definitely pull out 1n and divide them both by n to see what I have left. Well, if I divide my first one by n, I'd have 3n left. And my n's cancel here, so I'd have minus 2. All right, I need my next parenthesis to be 3n minus 2. I see got my negative on my 18 and a positive on my 12, and those need to be flipped because the 18 should be positive because 3n, right? So I need to pull out a negative out of this so I can flip the signs. What do they share in common? It looks about like a 6. They both can be divided by 6. But I'm not just going to pull out 6. I'm going to pull out negative 6 or minus 6. If I divide these both by negative 6, let's see what we get. We should get 3n minus 2. Negative 18 divided by negative 6, that would be 3n. Perfect. Positive 12 divided by 6 would be negative 2. Rewrite your binomials. So I'd have n minus 6 and 3n minus 2. And again, that 3n minus 2 could be first. It doesn't really matter, but I just tend to write it that way. All right, keep pausing if you need to. I think I got 2 more on here for you. All right, check number 1. Is it in order? Yes. A squared. A, no variable. All right, figure out what AC is. 3 is in the A position. Negative 4 is in the C position. So 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. All right, let's write the factors of negative 12. 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. Go back and look. What do I need this to add to? Negative A. Now be very careful. This is negative 1A. So what I needed to add to is negative 1. Well, which 2 numbers here can get me a negative 1? Well, this does not have a difference of 1 and this doesn't, so it has to be these 2. And I do need my answer to be negative 12. So one of them has to be negative, which we would put on the 4. Because negative 4 plus 3 would be that negative 1 that I need. All right, rewrite the first term, rewrite the last term, and let's go look at what we have here. I think I'm going to put the 3 with the 3. So I'm going to use this 3 that I find as a factor, it's positive, so plus 3, and again I need to use that A because I'm rewriting the middle term. And then it was negative 4 or minus 4, and again I needed to use that A because I'm rewriting the middle term. Group, keeping that negative with the 4, and start to pull out the greatest common monomial factor. 3a squared and 3a, they can both have a 3a pulled out. Divide both by 3a. Well, these cancel and everything but 1a cancels, so I just have an a. And then 3a divided by itself is plus 1. All right, I need my next parentheses to be a plus 1. So, if I look up what I have, negative 4a minus 4, I can pull out a negative 4. And if I pull out a negative 4, I'm going to get the positives I need. These cancel. These give a positive a. Negative and a negative, plus 1. I got it. Rewrite your terms. So I'd have, oops, forget that I did that little, not this one. 3a minus 4. And now I see that these two are a plus 1, so that becomes my second binomial. And again, your check is to do the box method and make sure you get back to your original number. All right, last problem. All right, I hope the first thing that you notice, glancing up, is that this is out of order. If you try to multiply times a times c in the way it's written right now, you will get the wrong answer because a is not in the a position and c is not, b is not in the b, none of them are in the right spots. So step 1 is to rewrite it. My x or my squared term first. So I'd have 4y squared, my y term in the middle, my c on the end. All right, now I can go ahead and figure out what to do. So let's find AC. 4 times 9 is 36. All right, positive 36. So let's write some factors of 36. I'd have 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 6 and 6. All right, we need to make negative 12. So, looks like my bottom term is going to be the one we need to use because 6 and 6 have a difference addition of 12. Again, I need to be positive 36, but I need this to be negative 12. So if I make both of these negative, negative 6 times negative 6 is 36, and negative 6 plus negative 6 is negative 12. Hopefully you're getting the pattern. Rewrite the middle term as a product of the two factors. So I have 4y squared Since they're both 6 this time, I'm going to go ahead and put them in. Careful, I got to attach a y to them because I'm rewriting the middle term. Alright, and now we factor by grouping the two binomials together, leaving the negatives with the 6's. 4y squared and minus 6y. Let's see, they share, they're even. So 2y I can pull out of both of them. Move my screen up a little bit. If I divide both by 2y, I'm going to get 4 divided by 2 is 2, y squared divided by y is just a y, minus, these cancel, 3. Alright, whatever I pull out, I need to get 2y minus 3. Let's see. Well, it's plus 9. I want to make it negative. I'm pulling a negative out of it. 6 and 9 share a factor of 3. I'm going to pull out a negative 3. Let's see what happens when I do that. Divide by negative 3. A negative divided by a negative. Here's me a positive, so I'd have 2y. Exactly what I want. 9 divided by 3 is 3, and it's positive and negative, so it's going to be minus 3. That's exactly what I want. Ooh, this is an interesting one. They're the same. So I have on the outside 2y minus 3, and on the inside I got the exact same thing, 2y minus 3. Now that is an acceptable way to write this answer. The other way to write this answer would be 2y minus 3 squared. That's the exact same thing because I have it times itself. But you can only do that when it is multiplied times itself. Exactly the same. All right, everybody, I'll have more tomorrow for you the next time we meet. But for now, keep practicing. Replay this video if you need to. And good luck learning.